In this video, we'll explore terrifying experiences shared by fellow YouTubers. But we want to hear from you too. We're on the hunt for real-life ghost stories, eerie encounters, and supernatural sightings from our amazing community. If you've had an experience that made your hair stand on end, send it to my email address in the description box. Your story could be featured in an upcoming video. So, turn off the lights, grab a spooky snack, and let's explore the unknown together. Happy haunting!
When I decided to open my law office for the first time, I was brimming with excitement and eager to find a location that was affordable. An acquaintance mentioned a place that seemed both decent and reasonably priced. Eager to explore, I contacted the owner of the building, a man named Thomas, to arrange a visit. When I first arrived at the location, I was taken aback. The building stood isolated and aged, with 3 stories but no elevator. Its exterior exuded an eerie, almost haunted atmosphere. Despite my reservations, I decided to take a chance on it. The day after signing the contract, I returned with my assistant, an old gentleman named John, to plan what we needed for the office and begin cleaning. My office was on the 3rd floor, but Thomas had generously allowed me to use all the offices on that floor until they were rented out. The 3rd floor had 2 large offices and 3 smaller ones. John and I decided to take the 2 big offices since they still had desks and some files. A week later, on the night before the office's formal opening, John, my cousin, and I moved some of my books and documents to the location. It was raining heavily, and I was frustrated as the documents got wet. We went inside and began filling the shelves and emptying boxes. After 2 hours of work, we were all in my office. I remember staring out the window at the empty lot and the rain, thinking how creepy it looked. Suddenly, John broke the silence. "Hey guys, do you hear that?" We all stopped and listened. Footsteps were echoing up the stairs. I turned to John. "Did we lock the door when we came up?" At that moment, an older man appeared at the doorway. He introduced himself as Mr. Sam, the security guard. We were relieved that the footsteps belonged to him and not some stranger. Mr. Sam told us that the building used to be bustling with offices, but now it was deserted, and people avoided even crossing the street. He was happy to see new tenants and wished us good luck. He mentioned that he stayed in an office on the 1st floor, near the entrance, and worked nights to ensure no one broke the glass windows. We thanked him, and he went back down the stairs. One night, as I was working late, I heard the distinct sound of a typewriter coming from one of the small offices. Curious and a bit unnerved, I walked down the dimly lit hallway to investigate. The sound grew louder, more insistent, and seemed to come from the office directly across from mine. I opened the door slowly, half expecting to see Mr. Sam at the desk. But the room was empty. The typewriter, an old dusty relic, sat on the desk, its keys unmoving. The sound stopped abruptly as if it had never been there at all. Another time, John mentioned seeing a figure standing by the window of the 2nd large office. He described it as a woman in a long dress, her back turned to him. Thinking it was a prank, I dismissed his story until I saw her myself. One rainy afternoon, as I walked past the office, I caught a glimpse of a figure in the window. But when I stepped inside, the room was empty, and the air felt inexplicably cold. The most chilling incident happened one stormy night. The power went out, plunging the entire building into darkness. John and I used a flashlight to navigate our way out. As we reached the stairwell, we heard whispers echoing from the walls. It sounded like a conversation, but the words were indistinct, almost as if they were coming from a different time. We hurried down the stairs, the whispers growing louder and more frantic. Just as we reached the 1st floor, the lights flickered back on, and the building fell silent again. The next day, I saw Mr. Sam during his rounds and asked him about the strange events. He looked at us with a knowing smile and said, "This building has a lot of history." Many souls have passed through here, leaving their mark. Some say the past never truly leaves us. His words sent a chill down my spine. Weeks later, Thomas visited us. Over coffee, I mentioned how pleased I was with Mr. Sam's presence. Thomas looked confused. "Who is Mr. Sam?" he asked. I explained that he was the security guard, an older gentleman. Thomas's face turned pale. "I've never hired a security guard since closing this building," he said, his voice serious. For a moment, John and I were speechless. We had both seen and talked to Mr. Sam many times. Initially, we thought Thomas was joking, but he assured us he wasn't. There was no security guard. We were left in stunned silence. I remembered thinking it was odd that we never saw Mr. Sam when we left at night. After that evening, we never saw him again. My cousin, my assistant, and I all had vivid memories of this man in our conversations with him. It remains the weirdest and most unsettling experience of my life. Despite these unnerving experiences, I continued to work there, feeling a strange connection to the building and its mysteries. But the question of Mr. Sam's existence and the other eerie occurrences still haunted me. To this day, I can't explain what happened, but it remains the weirdest and most unsettling experience of my life.